All right, another edition of Show Up Central Oregon, and this one's going to be a quick one because I am joined by Cheri Helt, and Cheri's got an important meeting with the governor here in about 15 minutes. So we got to make sure that we get you to that meeting. So first thing I wanted to well, thank you for joining me first, Cheri. So
Thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
the first thing I wanted to talk about is obviously pandemic unemployment assistance program
Mhm.
is live now.
Yeah.
What would you like to say about that?
I just want to say to all the independent contractors out there and gig workers that it is now time for you to get relief, and the system is up and running, and you can apply. There is a link, I believe, that Matt has just pulled up here. I also have it on my Facebook page and my Twitter page so that it's easily accessible. It is a new program, and that is really what took the longest part. Is that this doesn't apply to any of the other unemployment, standards and programs that we have, and so it had to be completely newly written. But the unfortunate part is that there are a lot of people that are really suffering because this has taken so long to get up, and so I'm hopeful that this gets out to you fast. If you are not receiving assistance or are having trouble getting assistance, please reach out to my office, and I will help you as the best in the best way that I can. But I also want to make sure that you have resources for food and rental assistance. And our utilities company, one of the things that we haven't talked about in a while, Matt, is how much the utilities have stepped up. They were never asked to not um, shut off services. They volunteered immediately at the very beginning of this pandemic to not shut services off for the city around water, and then gas and electric have all stepped up and said, we are not going to shut off services to people during a pandemic, and we're not going to charge late fees, and we will work with them on utility assistance. And I know that our co ops have taken money out of their reserve accounts to help support our local consumers that are on the co-op electrical and services, and they have put those resources out there just to make sure their customers are taken care of. And so that's been really, really great. So utilities have not been an issue for anyone through this crisis, which is encouraging. But we do need to make sure people are able to get food and rent assistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we've talked many times. I mean, obviously, there's several food pantries around, and I know there's a social stigma, but they are at a point where they're basically like, we will serve all. And so you should, if you are struggling, please put that aside and just go. We need everyone fed right now, not to be unfed. And like Cheri said, it's extremely important. And I just go. That's all I have to
Well,
say.
the stress that adds to your family is just really, really heartbreaking and difficult. And there are a lot of people out here that in Central Oregon that are ready and willing and able to help you get through this crisis. I know it feels like we're alone because we're in our homes, but we are not alone. There are people here to help, and everyone is in the same situation where we are all in our homes and we're all struggling. And so some people more than others, especially with this pandemic unemployment assistance program, because it's taken so long. So that's why I'm making sure that I touch on this subject, because I know that you guys have waited a long time, and I want to make sure that you feel like we're here for you and that we have not forgotten you. And I'm so glad, it's such a relief that you get to apply for this program today, and that relief is on its way.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit, Cheri. We're going to diverge from what our normally. We're not going to talk about numbers and some of those other things because we don't really have enough time. But I do want to talk about your next meeting, which is to looking at opening the state. So, what are you feeling? What's going on? Obviously, flattening the curve is priority number one.
Mhm.
But what does that look like? Do you think at this point in time, Cheri?
Well, the big thing is, you touched on it, Matt, is that, we all have made great sacrifices to stay home and protect our neighbors and our friends and our most vulnerable citizens, and we have flattened the curve. So now we get to have the conversations of opening back up. And those are exciting conversations to have. But one of the things that I really want to talk about is how do we give customers and consumers the confidence that they're not going to spread the disease to come back out into the businesses?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a really, really important topic, because just because, we're allowed to do business doesn't mean that we're going to be successful at it or that people are going to come.
Yeah, I think you speak from a business owner standpoint as well. One that I think would be directly impacted on basically customers feeling confident, and I definitely appreciate that point of view, Cheri.
Yeah, I think that, as a business owner, I want to make sure that my customers know that their safety is most important and that my staff knows their safety is first and foremost. And then when we have an environment where we work on safety standards to the point where we can make sure that we're not spreading this disease and that we're not harming anyone and that we have a safe environment. And those are the conversations that my husband and I are having right now, is around safety standards, around protocol changes. What can we do to eliminate touch points that would, like menus? How are those going to look in the future? What kind of sanitizing procedures are we going to use? Are we going to use the same sanitizing procedures that we used before? And there comes my dog. She just really loves to join in the middle of this.
Yes, she does.
So, but she's nice and quiet. She's sitting on my feet today.
That's good.
So what are those sanitizing procedures that are going to make sure that we kill the virus? We know what cleaners to use. We know that you have to use bleach cleaner or peroxide cleaner. We have used an hour in the past to make sure that we're sanitizing everything every hour. Light switches, doorknobs, cutting boards, computers, everything. And is that going to be a standard that will be able to continue with, or should it be every hour and a half, or should it be every 45 minutes? Those are the types of things that we're having conversations as business owners around, because we know that we want to protect the safety and make sure customers and staff feel comfortable and know that they're safe first and foremost.
Yeah, and I'm curious if you have any sort of concept or sort of ideas on, obviously phase one will be, we have some government guidance as far as from the federal government that we're looking at right now. But from a standpoint of what the state of Oregon, I did see, I think it may have been, oh, it was, I think you may have posted it, but I also know that Sally, Mayor of Bend, actually sent an email this morning talking about here's kind of what the guidance is from, federal government. What can you say as far as that first go round and what we're looking for, just so that people who have not been watching the news or anything are aware of, or just even reinforcing, hey, here's kind of what we're looking at?
Yeah, so I'm working on a few things. I'm putting together a town hall to talk about reopening. We're going to try and do that on this Sunday, because we're going to start hearing these conversations May 4th. Things will be starting to be put in process. So I want to make sure everyone's informed, and I don't really have a structure at the moment to inform people about. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows that structure as much as possible. I think on Friday we can spend some time talking about that. But it's really important that everybody's involved in this conversation, and that these conversations are really steeped in data of what can we do to make sure we don't have a resurgence, because some places that have reopened, we have seen a resurgence, and others we haven't. So what is the data? What is the difference? What is driving that? Of course, we need to keep on the PPE. Those were some of the first conversations that you and I had, Matt, was around PPE and testing supplies.
Yep.
Those conversations haven't went away.
No.
I think that we've just kind of concentrated more on some of the economic drivers with the unemployment insurance. But PPE and testing are still going to remain at the very top priorities to make sure that we're able to test people and that we're able to protect people as, in dental offices and long-term care facilities and hospitals. Because you remember, with the PPE supply shortage, we were conserving PPE, so we were not doing elective surgeries, and now that has changed, where we're going to be allowed to do elective surgeries May 1st. So if you have been one of the ones that has stayed home and made sacrifices, please reach out to your doctor or your surgery centers to get those scheduled, because relief is on the way for you very shortly here. And I know there's a lot of procedures and protocol to go through with getting your temperature taken and doing your pre-surgery analysis and all of those things to make sure that they can do it safely. So that is going to be the first step of reopening. Another thing that I want to talk about for reopening is AA meetings. This has been particularly difficult on people who struggle with addiction or are in recovery. And we need to make sure that we prioritize AA meetings so that people are able to get that relief and not fall down and back into old habits that they have worked very hard to get out of.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheri, I'm going to let you go. It's I don't want I don't want you to be late for your meeting.
The great thing now is we have zero transportation time from one meeting to the next.
That is true.
Two buttons.
That's true. You don't have to go halfway across the Capitol or anything like that. You're literally just, yes, that is true. Hey, Cheri, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And
Thanks so much, Matt.
We'll see you on Friday with some more information on what's going on. So thank you.
Yeah, and we can talk a lot about reopening, and hopefully we'll have some good stories to share about the unemployment with our independent contractors and gig workers, that they are getting some relief to their families. So I'm looking forward to reporting those on Friday as well.
Yeah, sounds good, Cheri. Thanks. Have a good meeting.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
All right. That was Cheri Helt. Obviously, she's got a meeting with the governor she's heading off to. So that's about talking about opening the state of Oregon, which is always good. And so that's going to conclude it for right now. Josh Cordell and I talking tonight. Positive Talk with Josh. But I am going to go produce a COVID quarantine event. So for those of you who might be joining us right now, over on Combat COVID-19 Central Oregon, we've got a group of 3 teenagers talking about what they've been going through, and it's actually very fascinating. In fact, Cheri and I talked about a few of those last Friday. So thanks for joining me again. I'll be back tonight, 8 o'clock. 8:30. I can't remember. Anyways, we'll post about it and with Josh Cordell. And as always, show up for Central Oregon. Bye.